1 in 5 adults have no close friends. I hope you heard me correctly. Not very few close friends, but 0 close friends. And that's a problem. So in today's episode number 34, we're going to talk a little bit about friendship, what value it brings to you and myself, and how to be a better friend, how to take better social cues from the people around you, and how to have a more fulfilled life. Nobody really teaches us how to become a good friend, and we just assume that it either happens or it doesn't happen. And I think a lot of us are struggling with the concept of what that means in our day-to-day life. We either expect our friends to be better to us than they are, or we just think of ourselves as being awesome. Everybody loves us, and we're generally a likable person. But the truth is probably pretty far from those statements. Having a little bit of self-awareness is a good start to be able to understand why people are either running to you or running away from you. I think it's great to say that you should treat others the way that you expect to be treated. If you haven't really asked yourself that question, it's going to require you to start noticing how you're acting around other people. Those people that you're talking to, are they actively listening? Are you actually listening to your friends? Once you start to pay attention to the cues that people are giving you on a day-to-day basis, you'll find out pretty quickly whether or not you're being a good friend or whether or not they're good friends. To start getting new friends and enhancing your social circle, I think the most important attribute for you to have as an adult is hobbies. If you're finding that you don't really have a lot of new people to interact with, it's probably because you're on the same routine. You have the same work people that you see on a day-to-day basis, the same couple of gamer buddies that you clock in with when you go to play video games at night, but you're not really expanding your circle, meeting new people, or getting a chance to cultivate any skills. So finding new social settings can start with hobbies. It could be going out to the bar and having a couple of drinks. It could be finding a kava bar in your area, or it could be joining a group that plays a certain sport or a different type of game. Generally speaking, I think it's best for you to get your friends where it does not surround itself with substance, meaning going to the bar can only be so good at getting you new friendships. Instead, maybe finding out that you like to play Magic the Gathering or going to play basketball is going to be a better start for you to have healthier relationships. So starting with hobbies is going to be a great place. We seem to cultivate habits as we go through life, but we never really check in with ourselves to see if they make sense. And so there's a couple of things that I want you to pay attention to when you're talking to that next friend of yours. Which direction are their feet pointing? If their feet, while having a conversation with you, are not pointed directly at you, but instead are pointed at the door, that is a cue that they want to get away from the conversation. If you're having a discussion with a friend and they've got their arms crossed, or you have your arms crossed, it's a sign of defensiveness. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're disagreeing with what they're saying, but you're ready to challenge what they might be contributing to you, or vice versa. So watching what their arms are doing, watching what their feet are doing, are a good starting point for observing social cues. You're gonna talk too much. You're gonna be too self-absorbed. You're not gonna ask enough questions. You're gonna lose your train of thought and not listen to your friends. That is a part of life. Nobody is ever going to expect you to be perfect, but you're allowed to have some good days with bad. Don't be too hard on yourself. Is your friend looking at their phone while you're talking to them? Are you looking at your phone while your friend is talking to you? And the next time you have a conversation with a friend, an acquaintance, a stranger, if their eyes are constantly darting away, they're not engaged in the conversation. There's only so much you can do to make somebody interested enough to continue maintaining a conversation with you. After a certain point, it's not fair to them or yourself to continue trying, and it's best to end the conversation. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to inevitably talk too much or show not enough interest in your friend. It's about learning and getting better. And most people are patient enough with you to give you a few shots. Only after you've proven to be completely self-absorbed and someone who never pays attention to the other person are people going to actively try to avoid you. And that's a terrible situation to be in, and you might be there, and that's still okay. Because the good news is there's a whole new set of people out there that you can try interacting with that have not yet formed that opinion with you. This really affected me when I was a little kid. Obviously, I was homeschooled, if you can't tell by my awkwardness. I did not have a huge social circle when I was growing up, and so I relied on the kids that were in the neighborhood to build my friendships. That meant that I didn't have a ton of diversity, but when I bonded with a friend in the neighborhood, oftentimes I expected too much. Realistically, in life, you can't expect anything from anyone but yourself. That's the only person who makes a commitment that is going to keep it or break it, where you can actually do something about it. So when you're dealing with someone else externally that is a friend or an acquaintance, if you expect them to be perfect, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. You have to learn how to take the good with the bad. You have to understand that some people in your life may work careers or jobs that you don't really approve of, might have political opinions you don't agree with. That's totally normal. And honestly, you should be looking for those people who you don't agree with to become your friends, because that is going to get you to become a free thinker and somebody who can live on both sides of the fence. If you're constantly looking for people who only agree with you, only do the same things that you do, you're going to find yourself alone and without many close friends, because you're trying to find an echo chamber. You're not looking to have real conversations with people. If everyone in your circle agrees with you, what are you actually doing?
Put me in, coach.
Let's hear it, boss.
All right, so he talks a lot about like being the person that you want to be. When you're trying to make friends, don't like lie and pretend to be somebody that you're not, because we all see through it and see that like, oh, you're not being genuine. Like, be your genuine self and you'll have no problem making friends.
That's a great point. Growing up, I used to have those friends that were going to be awesome to me when it was just us hanging out. But the moment the social circle changed, they started to act different. And I hated that crap. When I waited tables and I put myself through college working in hospitality, guys, I used to have coworkers who would find anything to talk about with their guests, but they would straight up lie about everything. Oh, you like rock climbing? I love rock climbing. Then the moment they get asked a technical question, you'd watch them fumble. Be yourself. Yourself is totally cool. And if you are the type of person who acknowledges that you yourself are somebody that is working on growing, then who cares if you're lame today? Because you're going to be awesome tomorrow. And by the way, you're not lame today. You're just somebody who's a work in progress. And I think once we recognize that that's who we are as people, then we can feel more okay stepping outside of our comfort zone and talking about stuff that we're not totally knowledgeable about. But be yourself to the best of your ability while still pretending to be the person you want to become. Because you got to strive for a better future, but you also got to recognize the confines within yourself. A good friend of mine, he says that unspoken expectations become premeditated resentments. And a lot of times when we have our friendships, we don't get things out in the open of what we want or expect from them. And we know that that's something we've done just so that we can feel angry or resentful that they didn't fix a situation that they had no idea they were causing. So I'll say it again. Unexplained expectations are premeditated resentments. If you don't give your friends a chance to adapt based on your preferences and they're not doing the same thing for you, there's only so much frustration you can direct at them. Because if they didn't know any better, you can't be an asshole and be mad at them. Don't be disappointed by a job your friend never applied for is essentially saying if they're not actually trying to be that person in your life, don't be mad if they didn't turn out to be that way. Take everybody in your life, the good with the bad, in small slices. Don't spend too much time with one person or one group of people. Try to introduce diversity and be a welcome guest in the home of many versus just a welcome guest in the home of one. It is a way more fulfilling experience. And I can tell you, as I've gotten older and I've met more people, generally I try to make a good impression. Generally I try to show interest in other people. And generally I feel pride when I think that I get invited to stuff that I can't go to. It's a tremendous compliment. It's like, hey, somebody invited me to go to this party. I don't really have the time for it, but at least they're thinking of me. That at least they're thinking of me section is what you should be doing for everybody else in your life. Different friends, different roles. Remember that not everybody's going to be the same size shoe. Some friends are great to call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Other friends are great to call in the middle of the day to ask for job advice. Some people are great friends that will never answer the phone for 2 months, but when they call you, you have an hour-long conversation and you feel like you just caught up on the last 10 years. Everybody's got a time and a place, and if you're not looking for people to fill those gaps, you have only one person to be frustrated with, and it's you for not stepping outside your comfort zone. Effort isn't always reciprocal in real time, and you should not be looking for people to just give you value. It's got to be give and take, and you should be thoughtful of how much you're taking from others before giving something back. I have a friend that I swear to you, I could call at any time of the day and he'd go out of his way to help. And so because I know that he's the giving type of friend, I try not to ask him too often to do things to help me, because I know that it's a burden for him and he's uncomfortable sharing that he doesn't really want to help with something, but he'll do it anyways. It's those people that are always giving that sometimes the gift means the greatest good for them. Go out of your way, do something extra for somebody every once in a while, and stop worrying about what everybody else can do for you. Start worrying about what you can do for them. What does it mean to be a good listener? There is a whole bunch of books that I've read or listened to on an audiobook that have helped to make me a better better salesperson or a better business leader. And almost all of those really good pointers that I get in these books have to do with empathy. In order to be empathetic, you have to care about the other person. And in order to be a good friend, you have to care about the other person. If you don't care about the friends in your life, you're just taking from them and you're not being a friend yourself. So in order to become a better listener, we can make this as robotic as possible. I want you to practice asking your friends questions, not general, basic, I wasn't paying attention questions. But if you see your buddy Dave and he starts to tell you about his last time rock climbing, ask him what grade of difficulty he climbed. He'll tell you it was a 11 or whatever. Then ask him like what was the hardest part of the climb, and then he'll tell you about some position that he had to contort into in order to scale the wall. Asking questions or even reframing what somebody has said to you shows them that you're paying attention and that you're interested, and there's no surefire way to make somebody want to spend more time with you than to show them you care. One of the books that I read and I reread once a year is called Never Split the Difference, and it's phenomenal. It's about a guy who was the lead hostage negotiator for the FBI, and he tells crazy stories about bank robberies and hostage negotiations, and the point of the book essentially is to make you a better listener and a better negotiator, and you only get to be a better negotiator with a better outcome if you learn how to listen better, reframe, rephrase, and ask motivating questions to the person that you're talking to. And the same tactics apply to your friends, to your loved ones. It is going to make you a better communicator, and when you communicate better, along with reading social cues better, body language cues better, it is going to make it easier for you to get more friends. Sometimes when someone tells me something and I want to make them elaborate, I will rephrase the exact statement that they told me. Man, I had a really long day at work. So you had a tough day at work? They're like, yeah, dude, you wouldn't believe it. My boss, man, he climbed into my office. He had a beet red face and he was yelling at me about the deadline on this task. Man, I'm really sorry. Does your boss do that very often? Oh yeah, it happens all the time. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm literally leading in with my friend. They're explaining to me about their day, and instead of me saying, oh dude, that sucks, bro, I'm sorry you had a bad day, I'm showing them that I'm listening and I care about the details of their story. I promise you, this is what people want you to do. Generally speaking, if someone shares something other than, what's up, man? How's your day? Good, man. How are you? They are needing to get something off their chest. They're not necessarily asking for advice yet. They're just asking for somebody to listen while they vent, and showing that you're paying attention can be best done by rephrasing what they've said and asking questions that allow them to expand on their thought. That is friendship, and it takes effort, and it's hard to do when you're trying to doom scroll on your phone while in a social setting. Giving yourself a chance to put the phone down and actively listen to your friend is going to be your best chance to make new friends. Another thing I want to tell you about is topping stories or one-upmanship. You think that by telling someone who's just explained their ski trip that you are an amazing skier and you went skiing last summer, that you're bonding and you're creating empathy, but all you're really doing is taking away their shine. This happens all the time in sales because my sales guys want to bond with their customers or their prospects. It happens all the time in your personal relationships where someone shares something with you like their new gym PR, and here you go, taking away their shine by telling them that you bench press 100 pounds more than they do. That's not why they told you. They want you to be excited for them. They want you to ask questions about it, and they want you to share in their victory, not make their victory seem small. The gym is the best analogy for this. If someone ever tells you about their new squat PR or bench press personal record, don't one-up them. We know you can bench 500 pounds, okay? We don't need to hear about it. There's two books that I'm going to emphasize here. The first one I've already told you, Never Split the Difference. And the second book, which is the OG of self-development, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, are going to help you become a better friend, a better listener, a better salesperson, better employee, and better person to yourself. Check these two books out if you have the time. The best way to absorb them for me is definitely an audiobook because sometimes my brain is fried at the end of the night and it's hard to read a physical copy. Making people feel seen and heard is going to be a surefire way to make sure that they want to stand closer to you and not further away. And you can do that by asking questions. You can do that by by reframing. You can do that by checking out their body language. And most importantly, and I see this all the time, just putting the phone down. You're never going to remember the person who gave you the best advice. You're always going to remember the person who made you feel the most heard. And it's not necessarily about somebody agreeing with you. It's about someone proving they were paying attention. We live in an extremely distracted world and society, and right now, attention is the hottest form of commodity on the market. No one is paying attention to anybody. So if you can break that rhythm and you can show your friends and acquaintances that you are there and you are paying attention, they're going to admire you for being a good listener. Most importantly, don't expect them to return the favor. I have a ton of people in my life that know me as a good listener or as a friend, but cannot reciprocate the same. And instead of me feeling salty and frustrated about it, I understand that that's the law of averages and a part of life. But instead, I'm always trying to pay attention to who are those people reciprocating goodness to me, because those people get a little extra effort. That's how it's supposed to work. You really don't need 100 friends. You need to be the type of person that can get 100 friends. You need to learn how to be a friend to yourself and to others. It starts by making sure that you're not spreading your attention too thin. Make sure to put your phone down. Start watching your body language cues from yourself and others. You can even notice it in yourself when you're like, man, I really want to get away from this person. And your feet start to position towards the door, or your arms cross, or you find yourself pacing back and forth. Start to pay attention to the cues of others and yourself. It'll teach you how to become a better listener. For some of us, it took more work than others to become sociable. I grew up as an introvert and I learned to become an extrovert. People in my life tell me now that it is impossible that I could have ever been introverted, but I think that the root cause of introversion and not wanting to talk to others can sometimes be dissatisfaction with self, maybe not feeling confident or not feeling like you're going to be accepted. But once you understand that acceptance doesn't really mean anything and that you are a work in progress, then you can start to put yourself out there, puff up your chest, and go talk to some strangers. As always, hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great day.